What's going on, it's the RapNerd, and I just got back from seeing Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, the one that started from a short within this grindhouse movies and graduated all these years later to being a full-on slasher film itself. Now, this movie is set in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which is where the first Thanksgiving took place. On the night of Black Friday, which actually is Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, a crazy event happens at a store, leaving some people dead, and the year after, a killer comes back to pay back the debt of those involved. So it's a whodunit slasher, and it's pretty classic in nature when it comes to what type of movie it is. And I really enjoyed it because of that. I'm glad it didn't do much of anything crazy, because I've seen this movie get knocked for just being average or whatever. But personally, that's all I was expecting and all that I wanted. I didn't want anything too crazy. I've seen Thanksgiving stories of killer turkeys and all this other stuff. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted a classic slasher that I could always watch every year around this time, that really delves deep into the themes and design of Thanksgiving, that just screams Thanksgiving, and everything is here. The leaves falling on the ground, the cold weather, the decorations, and of course the killer himself, dressed with this John Carver mask and a pilgrim hat while he does all his slashing goodness. I loved it. Love this film. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and pre-order the Blu-ray right now because I loved it that much. This is gonna be an annual watch for me, and we need more Thanksgiving slashers, which is, again, I don't think this film does much of anything different. If you are a fan of slasher films and of the genre horror, there are things that you've seen here, but what I can say is the kills are very creative. A lot of them have my jaw dropping, like, oh, and a lot of things happen that I didn't expect to happen. Just like the film last week, It's a Wonderful Knife, this feels like it's ripped from the early 2000s. You know, the joints that were the remakes of a lot of 80s movies. It feels of that ilk. And I'm honestly surprised that I'm seeing reviewers, specifically horror reviewers, dog this movie out for being average and saying it has, you know, ridiculous dialogue and people do things and say things that they wouldn't normally say. Bruh, that is the purpose of this genre. I'm really getting fed up with people forgetting how to watch movies or enjoy film. Like, what do you expect from a movie called Thanksgiving? You saw the trailer. I don't know how you see that trailer and expect something to be this grand mind warping type of horror film. Like, it is what it is. Everything does not have to be highbrow horror to be good or enjoyable or entertaining. This movie is entertaining. I thought it was great. For what it was trying to do, it was great. The context is there for what it's trying to do. I mean, I could not help but laugh out loud with enjoyment when certain lines are being said, because it's just harkens back to those times. Like, for me personally, this movie reminds me a lot of My Bloody Valentine, the 2009 version. So if you didn't like that one, or you're expecting something different, you're not gonna like this movie. But if you are aware of what these type of movies do and what they offer, this movie was great, and I loved it because of that. We don't get these type of films in theaters anymore, which is surprising how we got this double combo within a week of these early 2000s slashers that are campy, that are over the top with the gore, that are very violent, that have dumb characters, that give us all of these things in 2023 that we got back then. Because a movie like this really, for one, the quality, the set design, the production, all of that, we don't get that quality from these films at all. You know, they might make a movie like this and just throw it on streaming, but that's about it. So for this thing to be released widely, more like this, I loved it. So that ran aside because I had to. It was just boiling in me. Like I said, if you know about these films, you know what to expect. Like Sorority Row, 2009, Black Christmas, My Bloody Valentine, all of these movies do the same thing. They present all of these characters that are in this situation and they're trying to get out and run away from the slasher. You have one central character that you kind of follow, but it doesn't really matter. Her name is Jessica, and she is part of the reason that this killer has come, and it all reveals itself in many ways. It does. I'm a fan of these types of movies, and I understand how these movies work, so I wasn't expecting a deep dive in any character. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the horror. I'm here for John Carver himself, and I love that it takes place in Plymouth because the axes all over are extremely hard, and you hear a whole bunch of ka's and ba's and anything that rhymes with that. It's heavy on the accent, and it really brought me into this world of Massachusetts. I love the score as well. Like, it really felt late 90s, early 2000s, which is, yet again, is something that you don't hear in a lot of horror films because they don't know how to make up these days. This is a very specific sound, and if you love those kind of movies, you'll be able to hear it instantly because it just pops out. You know, the orchestra and the fluttering violins and strings and the harps going, like you hear all of that, and it just brought me back to that time, and I loved it. Again, as slashers do, they subvert of who could be doing it, and I honestly did not have an idea of who was the one doing the killing. The only time that I figured it out is when the movie positions itself for you to figure it out. They do something in the third act that's like, okay, this person could be it, but prior to that, had no clue. And again, I was invested in the story enough to want to know who did it. I feel like the collective of this film is what made it shine and not just one singular thing. Because the characters, they're high schoolers who just run around doing their things. So there's not really a whole lot of depth with anybody, but overall it makes up for it because, again, we're here to see the John Carver killer, and that's what delivered most of all. It's shot well, it's produced well, there's a budget. It all works for me, and I loved it. One of my favorites of the year, and that's all I can say about it. If you are interested, go out and see it because I definitely think that it's worth it. I damn near want to go see it again because of how much fun it is. Like, I have just been in heaven with these last 2 weeks with both of these movies. A Wonderful Knife, and now we got Thanksgiving. Both joints that I'm adding to my annual holiday slasher slash horror list. And this movie's a ball. So if you've seen this film, let me know in the comments what you think. Did you like it? Did you love it? What do you think about those movies from the 2000s that it was inspired by? Do you agree? And as always, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.